was dilapidated. There was a dilapidated roadway along Bunsey Trace in my electoral district of La Fortune, Debe North. The lady of the house, she died, and the funeral could not come to the house. She spent her entire life living in this house, and for her final rites, because of the callous disregard by the Keith Rowley-led regime, this woman could not be buried, and her final rites could not be performed at her own home. It had to be done at a relative's house. That is unacceptable. That is unbelievable and unimaginable. Can you imagine the trauma that that family felt? And this is one of many examples that we face. There are also significant impacts on the health, safety, and well-being of people of Penal Debe, resulting from the denial of funding. Recreational grounds are overgrown. In some cases, they are overtaken by vermin, rodents, and snakes, preventing the people of Penal Debe from utilizing these facilities for exercise and peace of mind. There's also a significant public health threat from the denial of the other local health authority services, such as cleaning of drains, verges, cemeteries, and roadways. But it gets worse, my brothers and sisters. We have also witnessed in recent times that the number and frequency of short-term employment has been reduced because of a lack of funding, which impacts directly on our ability to provide these services that we are required to do. And we have to wonder whether this denial of funding is meant to punish the people of Penal Debe. Is it a manifestation of political and geographic discrimination? I say yes. There must be equitable and equal distribution of the resources of the state. But there's hope, my brothers and sisters. The victory that we will see here today is a resurgent and a reinforcement of the overwhelming support of the people in our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And when she returns to government as our Prime Minister, Trinidad and Tobago will again prosper. I thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Councillor. And like a good UNC soldier, right on time, precise, and great information. And to Keith Christopher Rowley, you can starve the people some of the time, but you can't starve them all of the time. From Point Fortin to Labre, to Chagaramas, to Matlot, and all in between, Princestown, Naparima, Barakpur, Couva, into Sangre Grande, they are going to remove you, just like the people of Tobago removed you. For Tobagonians to remove a Tobagonian, he had to be rotten to the core. They had to understand that he is corrupt, that he's dishonest, that he does not care about anyone but himself. That is why he's the great Prime Minister of recusals. And Trinidad waits its turn to remove Keith Christopher Rowley and return the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar to her job that she rightfully deserved when she was removed by a biased media and a lying former opposition leader who now disgraces the office of Prime Minister. Next to speak, our UNC team is strong from the ground up to the top. We have a councillor from La Romaine. He's a veteran UNC stalwart, a councillor serving his third term. His first term began in 2013, where he served as burgesses and was returned resoundingly to serve 2 more terms. He's deeply interested, like myself, in sport, youth, and development, coaching with principle, and that is why he's a man who will fight with Team UNC to get rid of the cheater that is Keith Rowley, because we in sport, we like fair competition. Let the best man or woman win and then act fairly. Rowley gerrymanders, he cheats, but Tobago showed him that cheaters do not prosper. Coming to bring greetings and give you some more information, Councillor for La Romaine, Mr. Sheldon Lal. Welcome him, please.
Thank you very much, Senator Roberts. The Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Senior Counsel, Member of Parliament, Leader of the Opposition and political leader of the United National Congress, aldermen, councillors, member of National and Constituency Executive, my brothers and sisters joining us here and on the World Wide Web across the various social media platforms, and the victorious United National Congress candidate for Debe South, Mr. Kimraj Sunil Sicharan. Good evening. I represent the people of the electoral district of La Romaine, where there is not a single recreation ground or other recreational facilities available for use. In the last 2 years, I, through the assistance of the council and burgesses, identified 2 areas of development of recreational facilities. We have seen no funding for development for these recreation facilities, and burgesses have asked that we clear the site and erect signs identifying the purpose for future use. We have been waiting for the past 4 months, as Councillor Prasad Singh said, 4 months and still waiting for diesel to become available to clear these sites. This disregard for the people of La Romaine from central government has not gone unnoticed. Many persons in La Romaine once opposed the United National Congress and are now sharing their feelings of neglect by the government who they supported. Persons are asking when the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa will return as Prime Minister. The long for the days when the children and their well-being was priority by the government. They long for a day when the children education was important to the government. They long for the day when crime was under control and they could safely walk the streets to conduct their businesses. I shall continue to remind them that as the days follow the night, the sun will rise again, and the United National Congress, under the astute leadership of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, will once again be at the head of this country to serve for better benefits to the citizens of this country. Long live the United National Congress. Long live our beloved political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Councillor Lal. And we're bringing up a man who's been around the politics for a long time. He's a man who cares about his people, cares about his family, his neighbors, the community. He is a true patriot. He can be seen fighting for the rights of his burgesses wherever it may be. He's not afraid to go and protest in the face of a police service that is designed and taking instructions from the PNM Political Directorate. He will fight the PNM at every level as they discriminate against you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They swear on the Bible to show no fear or favor, malice or ill will, but then they govern with racist, divisive policies like banning open fire cremations without an iota of scientific evidence. They keep rivers closed while beaches are open. Then when they are forced to open the beaches because some Baptists also join with the Hindu and East Indian community calling for our recreational spaces to be open, they then say you cannot light a fire, you cannot cook, you cannot drink, you cannot play music. Keith Rowley is divisive. He's disgusting. He's the worst thing to ever happen to Trinidad and Tobago. And he must go. And he must take his entire Balize House PNM with him as they go quickly. A man who fights for the people. You could see him in Faizabad, in southwest Trinidad, across the entire country, fighting for better representation, for more allocation of resources, better roads, garbage collection, bridges, landslips. He's been in the politics, a councillor for 16 years, a fearless advocate for the people, a veteran UNC warrior. Special interest is the development of culture, and he will not be in any pod that was given out without approval of cabinet, with contract handed out without money. Gypsy, your ship is sinking because it's full of red people dressed in red and seawater don't mix. The PNM must go, and you too, Gypsy, with your pods and your goat pens for citizens to try to listen to some pan and calypso. A man of culture, I bring to you Councillor Dudnat Meru, Advocate San Francisco North. Welcome.
Thank you, the Honorable Senator Anil Roberts, Honorable Political Leader, my colleagues on the platform tonight, our UNC family waiting outside for the results, our winning candidate, Mr. Kimraj Sunil Sicharan, a pleasant good night to all. As you have heard from my two previous speakers, what has been happening in local government with respect to allocation. And it is very clear that the UNC-led corporation is feeling the brunt of it from this PNM administration. And when Councillor Krishna spoke about no diesel, and they talk about no releases, what people don't understand, there is a difference between allocation and releases. They allocate the money to you, but if they don't release it from the Ministry of Finance, you don't have any money. At this present time at the Siparia Regional Corporation, we have 29 vehicles out of a fleet of about 60 vehicles that are presently down. And we need approximately $410,000 to bring those vehicles up to a good working condition. What happens when you have 29 vehicles down? You have 29 drivers. If you don't find something for them to do, will sit idly by and do nothing and have to be paid. That is what we are facing under this wicked PNM government. We have an allocation of $4 million under drainage and irrigation. That is for drains. $4 million divided by 9 councillors and the chairman gives each councillor $400,000. How much drain can you build with $400,000? It's the same thing for roads. Each councillor is allocated $400,000 to pave roads. $100,000 gives you a distance of 90 meters of paved roads. It will take me 50 years and more under a PNM government to pave all the roads in my area. And if they continue to give us the type of funding that they have given us over the years, it will take me 100 years to pave those roads. You know, we have some serious problems in the Siparia region, and they're talking about making Siparia a borough. Siparia is already a borough. A man called me about 2 weeks ago. He said, Councillor, you have hamper? I said, what you want? He said, boy, my neighbor only coming by me to borrow salt and borrow sugar and borrow water, a bucket of water to bathe. And Rowley talking about making Siparia a borough. Dr. Rowley, Siparia is already a borough because you making everybody in Siparia borrow something from the neighbor to survive. So we are already a borough. You don't have to make us a borough. The unemployment is so high that people cannot afford to buy food. They have to go by the neighbor to borrow. So Siparia Regional Corporation is already a borough. So no need for you to change it to borough status. We have a minister of public utilities. When he came in, he blowing fire like a dragon. He going to fix Wasa. 1 month now, the people in Tenant Trace, San Francisco and Pluck Road ain't get no water. There is more blood flowing on the streets of this country than water flowing in the taps of certain areas in our electoral district. 53 persons got murdered last year, and for last month, January, and for that month, we haven't received any water in the San Francisco area. So it's more blood flowing than water in our taps. I am calling on Minister Gonzalez, and I am calling on Rohan Sinanan. Do something about the roads in Siparia. Do something about the landslips in San Francisco. And as Mr. Roberts said, I am afraid to light a fire and burn up the road if we have to do that to get the work done. You are a failure, Rohan. Rowley is a failure. The PNM is a failure. And before I go, I will tell you who have to go. Rowley must go. And Rawi must go. Stuart Young must go. Rohan Sinanan must go. And the whole damn PNM must go. Thank you.
Make some noise and get some energy there from the councillor, boy. Oh Lord, that is fire. And that's what we're talking about. In the United National Congress, we have people who care about people. You see the passion, you see the love, you see the spirit. That transcends the entire team. Team UNC, we say good evening. The PRO is here, Kirk Megu, the chairman, Peter Kanhai. I see Khadija Amin outside, or MP Lee, all of them. Kamala Prasad Bisses is on the way. And as we say that, another strong leader, a woman. Kamala Prasad Bisses put strong women in leadership positions across the United National Congress in all forms and fashions. A councillor for 12 years, serving as the South Regional Coordinator on the UNC National Executive since 2010. A founding member of the Siparia Women's Association, the most powerful women's association in Trinidad and Tobago. Young man, move from in front of that TV. Let me see them results there, brother. And we have some results coming in. Coming in, we see the PNM with 1 vote. The PEP with 7 votes. And the United National Congress with 124 votes. Mr. Cameron Sicharan taking the lead, a huge lead, and we will keep the results coming. So the PNM 1, the PEP, the PEP 7, and the United National Congress 124. That's our first count for the electoral district of Debe South, bringing to the podium a council of 12 years, one of the founding members of the most powerful women's association in Trinidad and Tobago, the Siparia Women's Association, and the general of the most famous Shanti Brigade, bringing the councillor for the electoral district of Pinal, Miss Shanti Budram.
Thank you, Senator Anil Roberts. Honorable political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisessa, my UNC colleagues, the viewing and listening audience, and to you, the beautiful people of Debe South, and our winning candidate, and soon to be my fellow councillor in the Pinal Debe Regional Corporation, Kemraj Sunil Sicharan. A pleasant good evening. My UNC family, how are you feeling tonight? You see tonight, it is not just an ordinary Monday night. It marks yet another election that Keith Rowley and the PNM have lost in a very short time. The PNM have lost in Tobago, and tonight we beat them in Debe South. My fellow councillors have spoken of the lack of funding in the Pinal Debe Regional Corporation. My brothers and sisters, the message is being sent loud and clear throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. The people say, Rowley must go. The PNM must go. This Rowley-led government continues to fail the people of Trinidad and Tobago, especially you, the people of my electoral district of Pinal. Where has the money gone, Prime Minister Rowley? Where has the money gone for the people of Pinal Debe? After the budget was approved in October last year, you are spending 30 million on carnival for people to wine and jam in this pandemic, but cannot provide basic necessities for the people. As a councillor for Pinal, I want to highlight the burden of my burgesses. Lack of proper drainage, terrible road conditions. Everywhere is potholes in my electoral district of Pinal. Lack of proper water supply and severe flooding when it rains, among other things, since this PNM government took office. Ask the people of Timal Naipalia Trace, Pinal Rock Road, Sunrise Road, Clark Road, Queen Anne Road, just to name a few. Over 4 weeks, some of these areas have not received a supply of water. Is this not political and victimization, Prime Minister? What are you doing to the people of Pinal Debe? I will continue to fight against this injustice and to be the voice of my burgesses and stand with you to get rid of this wicked PNM government. I say to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, enough is enough. Together we can return the UNC and good governance to this country under the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Persad Bissessar, who was the best Prime Minister of this country. We, the UNC, will continue to represent and work with you and stand with you, the people of this country. Call the elections now, Prime Minister. That is what the people want. I want to thank you and have a blessed night, and let's celebrate victory for Kimraj Sunil Sicharan. Thank you.
Thank you. I had to cross in front of the camera. Oh, I actually had to adjust the camera like I told boy. Shanti girl. Shanti. You're kind of short. I had to go. Let me duck down. Actually come now, boy. My knee hurting me, boy. You feel like doing moguls in the Olympics? And we're moving right along. The United National Congress, the councillors are bringing it real. And coming next, the UNC has always supported youth in leadership. And our next speaker is a bright young woman who has been representing the electoral district of Siparia East, San Francisco South with dedication and passion. A first-time councillor, she serves as the chair of the Entrepreneurship Committee of the Siparia Regional Corporation, bringing the councillor for Siparia East, San Francisco South, Councillor Ramona Victor.
Honorable Political Leader, Mrs. Kamla Persad Bissessar, my UNC family, good night. Today is a special day, not only for the residents of Debe South, but also for all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Debe South has spoken on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. Citizens' eyes and ears was on Debe South election. Media releases, newspapers, all was viewing and listening to Kimraj and the UNC. Citizens are crying for assistance with food hampers. Students are praying for a device. Athletes are pleading for flooding. No development programs. Teachers are awaiting negotiation from the CPO. No entrepreneurship opportunities. Problems for water from Wassa. Deplorable roads. But you know what? The trumpet was sound. UNC won the election in Debe South. Kimraj, I wish you God's blessing. I thank you for sending that message that this PNM government must go in order to rescue, restore, and rebuild Trinidad and Tobago. Most of Trinidad and Tobago are rejoicing because you know what? Kimraj didn't do it just for Debe South, but he also sent that message to all the citizens. So much residents are so disturbed that they were not given that opportunity to vote today. Most persons didn't want a by-election. They wanted a general election. Most of Trinidad and Tobago continue to rejoice under Mrs. Kamala Persad Bisessa. And as we see the end of the tunnel, I wish to say thank you to Kimraj. Thank you for choosing the only political party that could take Trinidad and Tobago forward. Every person that voted today in Debe South, thank you. You represented us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. You send that message for Rowley and his government that Rowley must go. You send that message that the PNM must go. Trinidad and Tobago, as Kimraj said throughout his campaign, together we can. And today my message to you is, together we can eliminate this government and get Trinidad and Tobago working again. I thank you.
And that's what we like. We councillors have crystal ball and all. When they call an election, we watching the trend. And the trend is showing that the United National Congress is out in the lead. I see in blue lights. And when I see blue lights flashing, it reminds me that Kamala Persad Bisessa ought to be the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And at the next juncture, she shall return to the position that she deserved. She served all the people of Trinidad and Tobago without fear or favor. We welcome the political leader of the United National Congress and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago whenever they call the election, whether next month, next 2 months, next 3 months. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Bring the tear gas, Rowlina. The douglAR don't mind tear gas. And bring in our next speaker, a young, brilliant man, a councillor for Barrackpore West. He is a prime example of the UNC's commitment to giving the youth a seat at the table. A first-time councillor, Nicholas Kanhai is into his second year as the local government representative for Barrackpore West. He has a passion for the development of his community and youth empowerment. A brilliant man. Sue, bend down, you're blocking the camera. Don't go. Stay down low, Sue Angeli. Right. Coming to talk to you now, Councillor for Barrackpore West, Nicholas Kanhai.
My UNC family, welcome to Debe South, welcome to Penal Debe. What a fantastic evening it is. What an honor it is to stand here this evening and be a part of this very powerful delegation of UNC speakers. My colleagues from the Penal Debe Regional Corporation, Councillor Ramona from Siparia Regional Corporation, our political leader, our members of parliament, and our UNC activists and supporters who have been on the ground with us over the last 3 weeks. You are here this evening. You are here to celebrate. You are here joining your voices and saying, here what? Rowley boy, it's time for you to go. I found myself actively engaged in this by-election campaign, primarily because when my colleague, Mr. Purushottam Singh died on February 14th, 2021, just 1 week shy of a year ago. And the electoral district of Debe South became vacant. And this wicked, cruel, jokey government failed to call the by-election when it was constitutionally due. Yet another time, it was Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, our political leader, leading the charge, having to call the government to account, taking them to court to call that election. And during the last 11 months, myself and Councillor Prasad Singh, we found ourselves as the shadow councils for that area, trying our very best with limited resources to meet the demands of the burgesses of Debe South. You see, Penal Debe is a region that the PNM don't like. They don't like it for many reasons, you know. One of it is because all 10 councillors and 4 aldermen, we form the Penal Debe Regional Corporation. We are the UNC fortress in South Trinidad. And I'm UNC and I'm proud to say that. And I'll tell you this. You see, between 2010 and 2015, under the People's Partnership led by Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, we had a rapid development in the Penal Debe region. Tracks became roads. I don't know if you all remember the Mohes Road that was closed and condemned by the PNM government for about 30 years. It was a UNC-led government that caused that roadway to be reopened. We have road networks in Penal Debe that connects. And you know what roads does? Roads connects communities. It allows for development. So the PNM don't like that. And what have they done post-2015? They have just allowed the rapid rate of development to be hindered. They are vexed that we are resilient, you know. I remember Prime Minister Rowley coming into Mohesh Road again. My colleague, Councillor Kumari Kaur Singh, was the councillor then in Lakshman Das Trace. And we were waiting. The country was calling for Rowley to visit South Trinidad because of the disastrous flooding events of 2017 and 18. And when he came, he wanted to give us a lecture on how the water flows and so on. And I told him then, and I'll tell him again, Prime Minister Rowley, we in Penal Debe, we are resilient. We are empowered people. And not because we know what it is to not have, means that we should do without. So we will continue to hold your wicked government to account and demand our dues in Penal Debe. You responded to my chairman, Alan Sami, a couple days ago. And you said, some meeting you had in Laventil. You have a PR election campaign in Debe South. You're so careless. You so don't care at all. You probably even know who the PNM candidate is for Debe. But you have a meeting in Laventil and you want to talk about Chairman Alan Sami talking about racial discrimination. I don't know if you have wax in your ears. The man said geographic discrimination. You know what we face in Penal Debe? The spite and malice that we face here, that is called geographic discrimination. And you don't like that term because you know it is real. Geographic discrimination because our potholes in Penal Debe cannot be fixed. Because it is your minister, these are assets, the Assessorian Road and Clark Road and the San Francisco Main Road, for example. These are assets of the Ministry of Works and Transport. And don't come and tell me nothing about you're passing the blame, because I'm fed up of it. We in Penal Debe, we are fed up of it. The people are fed up of it. So don't pass the buck and try to shame Penal Debe councillors and throw your responsibility because you and your government minister, you continue to abdicate your responsibility. We're fed up of it. Water. Why is it in 2010 to 2015, we had a government that increased the potable water supply in the entire country from 17% to 70%. But after you took office, what do you do? Suddenly the pipeline integrity become compromised and Penal Debe is to the end of the network and all this nonsense. If the people could get the supply once in 3 months, it means that they could get it all the time. I found myself as the campaign manager for this election campaign. And the love and unity and togetherness that we have seen in the United National Congress, it tells us that our party is alive, our party is well, and we are ready to go back into government. So I want to take this opportunity to thank every single person that got themselves involved in this campaign. We will hear later more as the results come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas Karnai. We're keeping it flowing as the results are coming in fast and furious. The last one we had, the PNM 1 vote, the PEP 7, and the United National Congress 124. The next speaker is a wise man, a man who's been in the community, in sports, in politics, in teaching, in community activity, in culture for a number of years. I won't tell you how many because he's a very young man. He is the chairman of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation, an experienced veteran of the UNC. Dr. Sammy is here, the alderman, Alan Sammy. He's experienced in local government representation. He's no stranger to the national community and has been providing fearless leadership as the chairman of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation for the last 6 years. I bring the chairman, Dr. Alan Sammy.
Thank you, that firebrand called Anil Roberts. The man with the mouth, the man who knows how to stir up a crowd. Thank you very much. Honorable political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, my colleagues, my new colleague, Councillor Kemarad Chicharan, welcome to Penal Debe. It is the best place to live, to work, to do anything at all. It is right here in the Penal Debe region. And it is thanks to the people in our communities that this has happened. I want to touch briefly only on 2 points here tonight. And one, when the Honorable Kamla Prasad was Prime Minister, the care and attention that she paid to young people and old people. I want to emphasize that because now I see people are crying out for assistance for an operation abroad and the government will not give it to them. They prefer to see our young people die than to put out some money to help their young people. Under our own Kamla Prasad, we had a program. She had introduced a program that focused on youth, on mothers, young mothers. There was the book grant. There was assistance to families in need. There was assistance to families with differently abled people. And all of that has been removed. And we therefore have now an uncaring, careless, senseless government. I could not believe when I heard the Honorable Prime Minister say that I spoke about racial discrimination and that's why we don't have water. What nonsense. I have never said that. I've used the expression geographic discrimination. I have spoken about political discrimination. And you know what they're afraid of? Let me explain to you. We are represented in Penal Debe by 4 real tigers in the parliament. We have the Honorable Rodney Charles. We have the Honorable Dave Tanku. We have the Honorable Rudal Munilan. And of course we have our very own, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, representing the people of Penal Debe. Indeed, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And they are feared. They fear her. And the more they push, the more they push back and seek to punish the people of Penal Debe. Well, I tell you, you can do what you want. My colleagues have spoken of the resilience of our people, the ability to stand up under any kind of attack. So you throw it at us. We know how to stand up. We know how to fight back. We know how to survive. So I am urging the Prime Minister, stop the nonsense. Govern the people properly. Do not resort to all kinds of nasty comments that tend to bring the government down. The governance now has been reduced to market politics. That is not what we expect of a Prime Minister. Let me touch on a second point. Anywhere I travel in this country, because I've had cause to travel because of cricket and my involvement in Susulan and other activities, even the Penal Debe region. Everywhere I go, I see deteriorating infrastructure. I say to the people, when was that built bridge? They say, Kamla build that for we. I say, when was this road paved? They say, Kamla do that for us. Now I am talking in people as far as Sandy Grande, Guayari, Mayaro, all over this country, wherever you go, in a primary road, in a secondary road, in a back road, the roads were paved. And this is in a very brief 5-year period. Now friends, this is what we are experiencing now. Pothole country. What you do now when you are driving, you're avoiding potholes. It takes longer to get to work. It takes longer to get to funerals. It takes longer to get everywhere. There is more wear and tear on vehicles simply because the potholes cannot be repaired. They cannot be repaired because there is a lack of management. Imagine we have the best pitch lake in the world. We have aggregate. We have smart people. We have machinery. We have contractors. We have the ability to pull all of these resources together to create the best service. And yet, we continue to fail the people. We continue to be unable to provide the material to fix our roads. We had a situation the other day where we were getting some material. And the ministry says, come and collect this material because we changed the whole way in which we do things. We'll give you some hot mix. We say, how can we come to collect material? We have no diesel. You refuse to give us diesel. So we can't come and collect anything. And then even if we collect it, we have no diesel to put in the backhoe to spread it. And even if we spread it, we have no diesel to put in the roller to roll it. So we are in deep trouble. And they cannot understand that. They cannot understand there is a domino effect. When you neglect us on the one hand, there's a spiral effect on the other. Look at what is happening in Penal Debe. Look at the number of people who no longer can have their drains cleaned because we cannot go in and due to the lack of diesel. Look at the number of people whose cesspits cannot be cleaned simply because we don't have the diesel to go in. Look at the number of recreation grounds. We have 36 recreation grounds. We were known as the best regional corporation in all of Trinidad for maintenance of our grounds. We can no longer maintain our 36 grounds. We cannot go in and cut our grounds. We cannot even go in and clean our cemeteries. We have 12 cemeteries. The worst thing that can happen, and we have a number of COVID deaths, and the worst thing that can happen is you go to a funeral and the place is overgrown with bush. Your good loved ones are leaving this world, and yet they go in a great discomfort. The place is physically unattractive. And those are the consequences when you starve people of resources. Those are the consequences of that starvation. So members, I want to welcome our new member to the team. I want to welcome our own Comrade Sunil Sicharan as the 10th member of the Penal Debe Regional Cooperation. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Alan Sami. Thank you very much. And as he spoke about, we are well represented, the United National Congress, down here in this area of the country. Rodney Charles Naparima. We have the Lion of Oropuch East, Rudal Munilal. We have the former Prime Minister, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And we have the next speaker, a man who came from humble beginnings, educated himself, topped his classes. He's now the Member of Parliament for Oropuch West, a man who fights for the people tirelessly. He attacks Colm Imbot with an ease like Brian Lara hitting a ball out of the park for 6 runs. Devendra Tanku, an economist and a brilliant UNC soldier, is coming to bring greetings from the area in Debe South. Please welcome the Honorable Member of Parliament for Oropuch West, Dave Tanku.
Thank you, my brother Anil, political leader of the United National Congress, other members of Parliament present, councillors, aldermen, councillors to be. Welcome to Debe South. Welcome to the constituency of Oropuch West. Welcome to Kamla land. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This has been so before. It is so today, and it will be so going down the road. And who don't like that, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Today, I want to start up, because my background is a little bit more into finance. So I want to start up with a little collection. I want to make a collection tonight. I'm moving like my brother Victor Roberts, asking for your support tonight. You see, Benji's price going up. Vic's price going up. All Limacol price going up. And I have a man right now in the diplomatic center who's suffering from so much licks he get in Tobago and so much licks he get in today that what he needs is a little help to rub, because his licks like fire, his licks like peas. I wish this man could really be a caring, thoughtful, considerate individual, because you know the history is we have that to compare. When you look at the leadership styles and the leadership history of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa for 5 years in government, and you look at the leadership of Keith Christopher Rowley, you learn and you remember one thing: elections have consequences. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, this country grew. The economy grew. Under PNM, under Keith Christopher Rowley, it's like a blight take this place. Nothing working. Ministers are not working. As a matter of fact, if you look around, everything this government is in charge of, from security to health to education to infrastructure, every single thing that this government is in charge of is collapsing around us. You know what the problem is though? You know they continue to spend $56 and $57 billion every single year? Ask yourself. They have spent over $320 billion in the last 6 years and going to spend another $56, $57 billion this year. Ask yourself where that money going. Because under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you could see it. As the leader likes to say, you could see it, you could smell it, you could touch it, you could feel it, because it's there. You know what you're feeling and touching and smelling now? You're feeling and touching and smelling crime. Runaway crime, the worst crime in the country has ever had. And in Oropouche West, ladies and gentlemen, we have it bad. Just like everywhere else in the country. There are people driving around every day, scoping out the homes of people in this area to rob them. Home invasion is a matter of fact now. Robberies in Chinese groceries is a matter of fact now. Every day, citizens are losing lives, health, and livelihoods. And all of that is because of Keith Christopher Rowley and this incompetent government that they have. I want to touch on the property tax, because I have raised an issue about this property tax before. Some of our areas, the government should be paying us property tax rather than we paying them. Because how do you go to such a trace in a place where every time rain set up, such a trace floods because of poor infrastructure, thanks to Rohan Sinanan. Every time rain falls. And it's not just such a trace, it's Tulsa Trace and series, Ragunanan Road, a series of other areas that floods continuously. But you know, instead of this government fixing that, you know what this government doing? They're taking money out of people's pockets that they don't have. This property tax is a tax on people who have ambition. It's a tax on people who have savings. This is a criminal, inappropriate, unacceptable tax. But this government is anxious to ram it down their throat. They're anxious to ram it down our throat because they need to find money. But you know what they do with the money? I don't know either. I have no idea what they do with this money. Because as much as you give to them, they're spending wildly for their friends, family, and financiers. The only people doing well in this country is PNM friend, family, and financiers. If your last name is Young, well, you're in business. If your last name is Arawi, well, you're in business. And that is how it works in this country. Unfortunately, the PNM now is not about you and me. The PNM now is not about the average citizens. The PNM is about victimizing and discriminating against individuals. And that is why they will jump up and make all kind of fake accusations against people who call them out. That is why they jump up on the chairman. That's why they will continue to jump up, because they're quick to create distractions, because they don't want to face the truth. They don't want you to realize the crap that they have been doing. It's completely unacceptable. The government's priorities are mixed up and screwed up. Ladies and gentlemen, today was a signal day. But every day from now on going forward, we need to continue to send messages to this government. We must not stop. We should not stop. The fear of tear gas is what they use to intimidate people. You remember, ladies and gentlemen, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we had a protest in Barrackpore. 3 or 4 years ago, we had a protest in Barrackpore, and the big guns from Port of Spain came down and harassed those people. Last year, we had another protest for bad roads and infrastructure, and the same thing happened. But you know, there are protests elsewhere, and I'm glad for those people because they get to exercise their rights. It's only when it's down south and you stand up for your rights that it becomes a problem for the PNM. But south people pay taxes too. We are people too. We have rights. And I'm asking and I'm appealing to citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, join us. Join us as we demand our rights from this heartless, corrupt, inconsiderate government. Join us as we make sure that we hold them to account because they are spending your money. It's just not, they're not just spending it on you, they're spending it on their friends, family, and financiers. When they play with boot machine operator, a man who had a parlor, a man who was running small business could suddenly open a bank. You know what's going on here? You know who paying for that? It's taxpayers. It's taxpayers, and that is not acceptable, ladies and gentlemen. Your tax money should be spent on you. Ladies and gentlemen, I appeal to you. Stand up and be counted. Thank you all. May God bless Trinidad and Tobago. May God bless the United National Congress.
Thank you, the member for Oropouche West, and we have some results coming through. The PNM, 25 votes. 25. 25. PNM, 25. The PEP, 175. And the United National Congress, 1,650 votes so far. And on that note, it gives me great pleasure. It is indeed an honor to introduce the next speaker, a lady who has celebrated 50 years of blissful marriage, a grandmother, a mother, 40 years in politics, the best minister of education this country ever saw, a former attorney general, the first female to lead a major political party in Trinidad and Tobago, defeating one of the greatest politicians in our history, a lady who became the first female prime minister of this country and led us to prosperity, job creation, foreign direct investment, education, and all the things worked in this country. Her achievements were so great, we never counted some of them. We didn't count the flawless running of the sea bridge or smooth roads and bridges, infrastructural development. A lady who cares about the children, the single mothers, and those most disadvantaged people, who brought real resources to the differently able, the best prime minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, the leader of the opposition, the member of parliament for Siparia, and the next prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessa, Senior Counsel.
Thank you very much, Senator Roberts. UNC family, good evening to all of you. How are you feeling? I'm very happy to join you at this very special Monday virtual meeting, and there are several areas I want to share with you tonight. I want to talk a little about our councillor to be, who is now declared the victor in these by-elections. Councillor Kemraj Sicharan. I want to talk about a victory for democracy. I want to talk about that EBC latest report. I want to talk about the latest meltdown by Rowley. I want to share with you some insider information about the infighting in the PNM. I want to agree with you, the people of this country, that Heinz must go. I want to talk a bit about that PNM Police Service Commission. I want to share with you some of our thoughts on the anti-crime plan of the UNC. I want to share with you the fact that a so-called independent senator has compromised the judiciary. And of course, we know about WASA and TSTT and others that are on the chopping block of the PNM. But first, let me take this opportunity to congratulate new UNC Councillor for Debe South, Kamaraj Sunil Sicharan. As you know, I also started my career in local government, Kamaraj, and all councillors. So you know you have a long way to go and you can have a very great future. I will tell you, however, being in the local government business is no easy job. It's not an easy task. I am confident you will do a tremendous job. You will represent the philosophy of the UNC, and that is serve the people, serve the people, serve the people. This victory comes 1 year after a UNC victory in Arima. I wonder if you remember that. In Arima, a by-election in Arima, in a seat that was a strong PNM seat. It was held by a person who is now sitting as a PNM MP in the parliament. She was a former mayor of the borough of Arima. And our UNC candidate, Sheldon Fish Garcia, captured that seat away from the PNM. That was a safe PNM seat, never won by the UNC before. And so they campaigned with all they had to keep the seat. But again, Sheldon was able to wrest it from them. Shortly thereafter, the PNM lost again. They lost the majority in the THA. You remember you had the 6-6. And then when they came down from that, they tried to steal election by changing the boundaries. But they lost. They lost 14 of those seats, holding on to only one of them. And now today, Trinidad and Tobago is very clear. Trinidad and Tobago is pushing the PNM out. And this victory in Debe South is a victory for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, the main reason we are celebrating this victory in a very big way this evening is that the election almost didn't happen. You remember that? Yes. They didn't want to hold the election. Our councillor, God rest his soul, Harshota, passed in February last year. Almost a whole year has gone. And we had to take the PNM kicking and screaming to compel them to use the courts of law to compel them to name a date. A year ago, and they probably have the same feeling as Dr. Sami shared, the other councillors shared. They believe nobody lives in Penal Debe. Nobody lives in this seat, so they didn't care whether there was a representative or any representative. So they called the election after we threatened to take them to court, and the matter is still in court. Because even though they called the election, there is a part of it that is still pending for only the judges can tell us about. And that is the right to vote is a sacred constitutional right. And depriving people of the right to vote as they did is a breach of the Constitution. So we will threaten them when we have to. We do not have to live like this. We should not have to live like this. But the people of Debe South proclaim tonight that Rowley and the PNM must go. Rowley and the PNM must go. So it's a pleasure here to welcome our young candidate, Kamaraj, and wish him well in service to the people and to his constituents. I want to thank all those who worked tirelessly in the campaign. All the PDRC councillors and others who came to help. The campaign manager, Councillor Nicholas, MPs from the area, all who worked so hard to bring in this victory. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And so I am proud of you all. You ran a really clean campaign. You ran a campaign that we can all be proud of. And now that you have the duty to serve, I trust that you will carry out that sacred duty in service to your constituents in the same manner, in a clean and servicing manner to constituents. So, I want to show you a video, you know. This was last week, Monday, when I spoke with you from the virtual platform. And I told you that the opposition had got information that the EBC had sent their latest report to the government since June 21, last year, a whole year ago. And they held on to that report. And they had not done as the law compels them to do. They had not brought it to the parliament. And so I told them, I said, I'm giving you 1 week. If you don't lay it on Friday, which should have been last Friday, we are taking you to the courthouse. I want to show you that video now, please, if we have it. Can you run that video, please?
If they still fail by Friday, we're going to court. We'll send them legal documents. We must get the court to order that EBC report be laid in Parliament.
Well, if you can't find it, I'm sure you all will remember that last Monday, I called on the government to lay the report on Friday. And if they failed so to do, we would have gone to court. Okay? Video later. Let's talk to you. So they came in Parliament on one Friday after we threatened legal action. And instead of explaining why they took so long to lay the report, Khadija brought the motion in the Parliament, matter in the adjournment. Instead of explaining why they took so long, you know what they did? They turned around and blamed the public servants for the delay. Yes, they blamed the public servants. This is Raul again. Blame everybody except themselves. And after that, you know what they did? They accused the opposition of blaming the same public servants that they had blamed. So basically, the government is once again blaming Kamala, blaming the opposition for their delay and failure to lay this report in a timely manner. And our question has always been, what were they trying to hide? So having now laid the report, we see what they're trying to hide. They've created 2 more seats in the Mayaro Corporation. And that seems to favor the PNM. But we know when the last time they tried to create new seats, as they did in Tobago, they created 15 seats. What happened? Was licks like fire and licks like peas. And then we had this spectacle. We have a by-election here in Debe South. Yet the Prime Minister on Saturday, on the eve of the election, what does he do? He calls a rally in Laventille. But poor fellow, you know, nobody from the community went to that rally. Nobody, the residents went. Last Saturday, he held that rally. What did he do? He bleated. He bawled. He cried. Blubbered like he was having a meltdown. Prime Minister, I care, you know, you may think nobody cares, but I do care. You need to calm down. You need to calm down. You need to relax and control yourself. Some advice, sing a song, play some music, read a book, take your goat for a walk. Enjoy your life a little instead of always being so angry. You shouldn't be raging and calling people dotish. There have been 62 murders already for this year. That is what you should be talking about and focusing on. But instead, what are you doing at 2 p.m. today? You are busy on your Facebook fighting on Roger instead of doing your job. You said on your Facebook that Roger is a liar. Roger says, you are the liar. Roger says there was no written invitation from government to them to come to some meeting. And then Rowley said, well, you know what? I sent Stuarty. I sent Stuart. in person to invite Roger. Well, I didn't know Stuarty had become a now. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. You know what a now is? The person who goes around sharing yellow rice to give people invitations. And that is also the person who is a gopher. So breaking news today from the Prime Minister's Facebook is that Stuart Young is the now of the PNM. He is the person sharing invitations and going. Prime Minister, you know, just for a little bit of you to calm down. As I say, you think everyone doesn't care about you, but as I said before, take heart, don't worry. I care about you. So I want to see you happy. I found a poem to make you smile. It's a poem about goats, and I know how much you love goats. So let me share this poem with you, Prime Minister, and please calm down, chill. The poem is El Macho Cabrillo. There was a great lover from Tobago who went up to a farm in a repo. He gazed into a goat's eyes. He fell in love and he wanted his prize. He negotiated with a contractor who then became the goat lover's benefactor. The benefactor was told to contact Singh, who was a great lover's told to organize the thing. So Singh put the goats on a boat, which a contractor underwrote. Now they are both in Tobago, somewhere near Likoto. All of this was done in a great hurry. So soon someone going to get goat curry. And if you think, I know the Lord Jesus Christ walked on water. But did you know that goats leaving from Penal walk all the way up, found their way to Aripo, and goes to Aripo, walk across, and cross the water to go to Tobago, to Likoto. And that, if you think is a joke, is a serious matter. I hope you like it, Prime Minister. God bless you. And if we had to look at what is the real analysis for all these meltdowns, is that he's not realizing that citizens in the country are ignoring him. His own cabinet ministers and MPs are ignoring him. I want to share with you some insider information that I told you before. Right now, there is so much infighting going on in Rowley's government. They cannot achieve anything. They cannot achieve any goal, any project to get done. They had a 2-day retreat, remember? Anything came out of that retreat? Nothing. That was more like a surrender. But the UNC says no retreat, no surrender. No retreat, no surrender. We will stick on you until we take you politically out of office. So with this infighting, what do you have? You have the Imbert faction. You have the Rohan, Kazim, and Clarence in a block. You have Camille and Foster faction. Well, Faris only have a faction with Faris alone, because nobody wants to be in his faction. Nobody wants Heinz and delousing, so they're worrying if they're going to get kicked out. And then you have the section that gets treated very badly by Rowley. Scotland, brilliant lawyer. You have this Dunsas on AG, Scotland is a brilliant lawyer of great experience. Leoncy, Monroe, Gonzalez, and some others. So you have them, that section, being treated very badly. And let me tell you this, sometimes I enjoy going to the parliament, but some days I had to kind of hide in the corridors and things. Hide in the rotunda, because you see, many of them leaking information on each other. Every time we go to parliament, these government members always trying to shoo-shoo. And what are they telling you about? Their own colleagues. In the tea room, they follow us to talk. In the corridors, in the rotunda, these PNM MPs only following my dress tail, I think you see. You know who? 2 fellas end up one day in an office to bad talk the others. And you see, the Rowley ship is sinking. People now looking for lifeboats. Even my senators complain to me, same thing is happening in the Senate. PNM senators come into news carry and shoo-shoo about their own colleagues. And Rowley is now recognizing that this weekly Saturday bleating and crying about COVID isn't working. It is no longer keeping people silent or making them obey his nonsense pronouncements. So as I said before, went to Laventille instead of anybody from their team of Worth coming down to Debe South. Are we surprised at the results then? I didn't listen to his meeting, his ranting and raving, but he was attacking everyone right and left, embarrassing himself. As I said, anyone watching, you can hear the violence in him. And instead of stemming the violence through good governance, Rowley and his incompetent ministers, especially Fitzy, are instead spreading that anger and hatred and fueling the problem, not really helping it. So crime is now at an all-time high. Anytime the PNM is in power, crime increases. When the UNC was in government under the Pandey regime and then under my prime ministership, we were always able to bring the crime down. But under this government, crime is just spiraling, and what is painful is no one in the government is talking about the crime. Instead, you have Minister Hines saying it's not his duty to keep people safe and so on. As a result, everyone is living in fear. Our women are being murdered. Murdered in broad daylight. Criminals are even more emboldened. They have no care for human life. Imagine Saturday, there were brutal murders throughout the country. In San Fernando High Street, broad daylight, a man working an honest day's job to take care of his family was murdered. There's a broad daylight, captured on videos for all to see. This heartless robbery occurred in the middle of the day on High Street. This was not a back alley. It was not in some back street in the middle of the night. And even then, that is not right, whatever time it may be. But it has become such a normal thing for banditry. And we thought the day was bloody enough. In that night, the same day, Saturday, 4 more people were murdered. 4 more in Diego Martin and Keith Rowley's own constituency. And what does he say? What does he say? Nothing. Nothing. They have nothing to say. It's only death and more death under this government. We have submitted so many proposals, but they don't want to listen to us. Many times we have tried. Even though they are in charge, we have tried to help, but no. They don't want to stop someone is saying. They don't want to hear anything. They would prefer people to suffer, be afraid to leave their homes, be afraid to go to work, to take public transport or do anything. Now I hold no disrespect for the people of Laventille, but normally when we hold rallies, we hold them in the night. This man went up there in the day. He probably knows why he didn't want to go there in the night. Imagine a PNM minister scorn protesters seeking to protect our women. What have all those candlelight protesters achieved? Are you not ashamed that you have done nothing? Nothing after all these candlelight protests. What he's saying is you could do what you want. You could protest all you want. They will not put up the street lights. They will not put up the police force. They will not bring the pepper spray law. They will do nothing. They live in another world. The law doesn't apply to them. There's one law for them. I told you, driving around with their blue lights and security details and so on. What they care about you? What do they care about those being murdered in broad daylight? You must live like prisoners in your own homes. You have to live like prisoners in your own homes. And they don't have a care. No care. And so I come to the fact, Hines must go. Hines must go. Hines must go. It is tragic that we have someone so incompetent as a Minister of National Security. How can the Prime Minister take someone so incompetent to make him Minister of such an important ministry? That act alone sends a message to criminals and national security is a joke. His appointment has emboldened these elements. Imagine his big idea to fight crime. He confessed it on Saturday. Is to ask you, the citizens, to do your part. Well, why are you doing your part? Remember, he told people, constituents, and this is also on video, to lie to the police about illegally owning guns. Yes, the video is there to see.
That is the Minister of National Security. To don't tell the police the truth about who has illegal guns. And so, I am calling on citizens to demand that Rowley replace Hines. Those who wish to remain silent about this, don't come and complain on later when your family or yourself, well, you can't complain if you were the victim, but when one of your loved ones becomes a victim. 62 murders. I want to quote the words of MP Rodney Charles when he said, between Hines' escalating murder rates and D.L. Singh's COVID deaths, the only business that is a thriving business, you know what? Funeral homes. That's all. So I am saying you cannot fight the crime. First you have to have a proper process of appointing a police commissioner. You must have a proper process by an independent police service commission. And so let me announce tonight that the UNC will be commencing legal action to obtain the legal opinion which recommended scrapping of the 2021 merit list, which this new Police Service Commission is hiding. Since last week I have received, and I spoke about them last week, I received a lot of new information about the P&M connections and dealings of these members of the new Police Service Commission. A woman was in tears telling me about her experience with one of the new Police Service Commission members. I can't repeat it tonight. Some of these people have no right to be on that commission. Why don't you all just have some shame and do the decent thing and resign? Because the UNC is going to expose you. Even if we have to go to the courts, we will expose you. Effective crime fighting is also about investing in technology. So first, a proper process for appointing the khaki, the upper echelons of the police service. We also have to invest in technology. We must make sure the police have the tools and the resources to fight crime. And it's also about investing in education. But this administration doesn't allow that. I told you on one Monday platform, I told you about how they had cut the gate. They had cut the gate by more than half so that people cannot afford. They closed the gate on our young people seeking an education. They just do not care. I have been very firm on crime fighting. Our record speaks for itself from the statistics. We share it on social media. I don't have to go it again. But before the last election, you know, JJ always tells us, elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. And we told you that in an effort to fight crime, amongst other things, that we would create 3 ministries. Not just this one Ministry of National Security. We would create 3 ministries. A Ministry of Home Affairs, because it's so important. You can't leave it in the hands of Fitzy. You just can't. A Ministry of Defense, and there will be reintroduced a Ministry of Justice. Through the Ministry of Justice, we would have been able to deal with the delays plaguing the justice system. In the Home Affairs Ministry, we could have dealt with internal law enforcement to ensure deterrents are provided, and this will involve action before the crime is committed as well. Fire service, police service, prisoners, E99 command center would be some of the units under the Home Affairs Ministry. The Ministry of Defense would have dealt with the protection of our borders. And oh God, what a heart-rending, breaking thing to see our Coast Guard, the Coast Guard of Trinidad and Tobago, firing on a migrant vessel, they called it, murdering a baby. We are making international use, Trinidad and Tobago. We are making international use because of that. I cannot see, and I await the explanations, I cannot see, if you have a migrant vessel with people there, how you could open fire. You see women and children. Did they have weapons? Did anyone raise a weapon against you? Why would you shoot? You have things to do. If you say they come in to ram you, you could have taken evasive action. Why did you have to shoot? Was that what you call reasonable force? Reasonable force. A young baby is killed by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. Ethelbert, resign now. Resign now. The Ministry of Defense, I mentioned, would have dealt with protection of the borders. and dealing with human trafficking, guns, illegal immigrants and so on, illegal guns, terrorism, and would work with international allies. In that way, we split up the arms of national security and have not everything into one person, into one ministry, which is a very heavy ministry, but instead 3 ministries to ensure the safety and security of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We would have created a system where the UWI would have offered diplomas in policing, that way to upgrade our police force and police recruits. So we always had a plan, but this government has no plan, and up 6 to 7 years later, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. I share with you, Sean Sobers, what Sean told us last week about privilege. One law for the PNM and another law for everybody else. Instead of fixing crime, the Rowley cabinet is breaking the law. Credit card WPC Camille is still under investigation for lying about withdrawing $143,000 from Republic Bank and a questionable transactions at Citizens Bank for citizens. Keith Rowley's failure to clear his INS gate gift on his Form B must also be investigated by the Integrity Commission. Also the $500,000 discount they got, that has to be investigated as well. You got a discount, why? And then we come to Mr. I'll recuse him himself, Faris. There are all matters involving Paris, our rental, from his Porsche to his illegal interference in certain matters, in certain cases, about his gun-toting children. I saw Faris saying he welcomes a police probe by the TTPS about his illegal actions. Well, Faris, the entire nation welcomes this probe. It is long overdue. Long overdue. Faris, you are a pathological liar. In the parliament and outside. I remember when you said I rented properties for my family. Lied. And then had to apologize in the parliament. He's a pathological liar. You know what that means? I checked it, so let me share it with you. And the definition of a pathological liar. Pathological lying, also known as mythomania and pseudologia fantastica, is a mental disorder in which the person habitually or compulsively lies. Habitually and compulsively lies. That, as far as I'll lie, yes. That is Faris al rental, al recusal, Faris al lie. When there were allegations against Marlene, you all remember that? Rowley fired her. Rowley fired her long before any charges came on Marlene. Rowley dumped out Marlene. He treated her repeatedly badly. Why? She was under no police investigation, but I am told, and I'm asking her, Rowley, did you lie and tell Marlene McDowell and others that the Integrity Commission had new information about her? When the Integrity Commission, as we know, wrote a letter saying they had no such new information. Rowley, did you lie and tell people that the then Commissioner of Police, Stephen Williams, that he sent you a letter saying the police had new information about Marlene? Did you lie? And did you then, based on those lies, fire Marlene? Fire Marlene when there was no probe. But as soon as Faris is under police probe, you say you stand up with him, you stand with your man. He's standing with him. He stands by Faris. Faris should not be sitting as an AG and a minister of the government. Should not be while he's sitting and there's a police probe. And don't come with a sham investigation. Commissioner, the people investigating said they wrote to me asking me to tell them who is Miss Simon, is it? Some Simon lady. She's not known to me and I don't know her. The person who brought this lady's name into the play and into the mix was none other than Faris the liar. It was Faris himself who shared a letter authorizing Miss Simon to be his agent to transfer the car. To be his agent, and you want to ask me, who is this lady? What is her address? Why don't you go and ask Faris? He's the one who put her play and her name in the mix. And in any event, even if she were your agent, that is against the law. No agent in this country, according to our law, can transfer a vehicle. There's a legal process. So all this will come to light. In 2019, I have the certified copy. It was clear that as late as 2019, this vehicle was still registered in Faris's name. Still. So if you see Kewal Singh name suddenly appearing now, there's a lot of questions to be answered. A lot of questions have to be answered. Look, there's the certified copies up on the screen. It's there, 2019. Who is the owner of Faris Arawi? So don't come and tell me you suddenly find a certified copy with Kewal Singh name on it. Once you produce us, I'm coming for you. I will come for you. And how do you explain the check that you say that Kewal Singh gave to you? And the check never had the bank stamp on it. When you deposit a check, what happens? The bank stamps it. Anybody with checks, you will know that. The bank in those days, you get a check, will stamp it. What they probably did was to backdate this check to fool people. And that is the same person, as we learned in the papers today or yesterday, paid by the Ministry of the Attorney General fees to the tune of about $3 million. The boy is a good boy, but he's not that kind of lawyer. Not that kind of lawyer at all. And then about $3 million paid by the Southwest Regional Health Authority, man. $6 million in the space of a couple of years since he became the commissioner on the Police Service Commission. Same man, you know. Same man. What happens in the darkness will always come to light. I'm telling you that. Always. And so Marlene, Rowdy, you don't remember? For 5 years you were in opposition. Marlene carried her on your back, you know. Carried you on her back, you know. But what do? Faris is under severe allegations. Severe. We have this immunity, which is illegal, like he signed with Vincent Nelson, granting him all kinds of immunities. There are a lot of questions Faris has to answer. And Rowley, if you don't move, Faris is going to bring you down and your entire government. Faris must go. Faris must go. It can't be one rule for Faris and different rules for everyone else. And a more serious question is why you can't fire him? What does he have on you? What do you have? What does Faris have about you that you're afraid to fire the man in spite of all these serious allegations about him? Are you being blackmailed by the financiers or even by cabinet ministers? What do they know and have on you, Prime Minister? Is this constant threat of exposure the reason for your frequent meltdowns? For too long, a selected few in the elite felt laws only applied to them. They felt that they could do whatever they wanted with no consequences. And this was not just for all PNM members, mind you. This was just for the select privileged few at the top. The privileged few feel they could do anything they want. That's why they could convert a boat to a restaurant overnight. And so far, where has that investigation reached? That's why they could hold a massive wedding in Port of Spain in the West, even though we had all the COVID regulations in place. That is why the daughter of the Prime Minister could have flown in here anytime she wanted, even though the country was on lockdown. One law for them, one rule for them, for the privileged few. That's why all national security now can be mobilized. You all remember when our minister's son lost his phone? This girl, God rest her soul, has died 1 year ago, about Andrea Barrett. We had the others, the Riley girl. Then you have the latest one, Kujo. No massive mobilization about that. But to find your son's phone, you all mobilize national security to get that phone back. I mean, we have, there's no shame. We are too weak. The people of this country must stand up and speak out. You must stand up for your rights. You must stand up for your rights. We call for an end to privilege. We call for an end. It is clear Faris broke the law and he should be held accountable. We will keep up the pressure and this will not go away. It will not go away. And whilst I'm on that, I raised that fake oil matter quite some time ago. It went to arbitration and they say the man won the arbitration case. But the senior counsel in the matter asked for it to go to the High Court and the government refused, failed or refused to do that. I give you the assurance tonight that when the UNC forms the government, we'll have a full inquiry into what happened. And when that happened, the then Commissioner of Police is on the records, public. He said the investigations by the police are not at an end. He said that the TTPS was going to hire special investigators. And I am now told, not by him, by others, that when he was unceremoniously put away, that they stopped everything relating to those investigations. So we will not let them get away with it. It cannot be for the privileged few. It cannot be. And so we know we will not let these things rest when the UNC forms the government again. Vera has compromised the judiciary. You remember Senator Vera went to the parliament. What did he say? He said, listen, judges of the Court of Appeal talking to me about the UNC behavior. You remember when we brought the Section 36 motion in the Parliament to deal with the Madam President and all the issues with the Police Service Commission and the merit list and so on. He sat in the Parliament that day. He did not say a single word. And he went out afterwards, bleating, crying that the UNC behaved so badly. We like a fish market. What do you think this is, a bishop's tea party? When we are in politics, we are fighting the wicked, evil, corrupt PNM, and we'll do everything legally to fight them. So he bleated and cried that UNC people, judges are telling him, you are a lawyer, Mr. Vera. Are you telling me and the country, because he said it in Parliament, that the UNC, that the judges called him to tell him they were so disgusted with the behavior of the UNC in the Parliament? Well, I am writing to the Chief Justice to find out which judges of appeal told Vera about the behavior of the opposition. Because we must have a fair and independent judiciary. And if it is judges bad talking the UNC with this man Vera, something is seriously wrong. What cases are they doing? What cases has he appeared before them in? That they may take a certain direction. So I think I will write to the Chief Justice and to find out who are these judges who are compromising the judiciary, politically compromising them. I know the Honorable Chief Justice would not want that to happen, because he's the Honorable Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago. He's not the Chief Justice of one party or the other, and therefore I look forward to his response on that query to deal with this man. I'll write that letter for full investigation. I will also write the Law Association. This is a matter that can have a serious impact on the system of justice and administration of justice in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, I'll leave others on another day to talk about WASA and TSTT on the chopping block. We are seeing the stories that are coming out, and we will talk on that another day. For tonight again, I want to thank you all very, very much here in Debe South and throughout. I want to thank the special team who worked very hard over the last several weeks, and I want to thank the UNC family. We are UNC and we are proud. UNC and proud. I say Rowley must go, Farris must go, Hines must go, and all of them must go. God bless you, and I thank you very much. Okay, guys, you all can enjoy the rest of the evening. Oh, people are going to put him on now, you know. Anil, were we not going to put on camera now? But will he go live on this thing too? Okay, that's good.
Check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Crazy levels, 2, 8. Crazy levels, always again. 8.
I've already been taking the cameraman, shipper, and the oh, yeah, that's senior. Oh, well, I know. I don't want to move it. I put right in here. This crowd as a whole, man.
Good evening, everyone, again. Good evening. UNC family, good evening. Please welcome, please congratulate and welcome their new councillor, Cambridge.
My name is South Family. He said prepare something, so I wrote something. Let's see if you'll see. The Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, SC, and political leader of the United National Congress. MPs, councillors, members of the national executives, my UNC family, and in particular my Debe South family. Good evening! It's been a long day. But it's been a day that I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life. Firstly, I would like to thank the people of Debe South. I would like to thank you for your sacrifice and for your confidence that you have placed in me today and naming me your counselor. I hold dear the confidence that you have placed in me, and I plan to honor that from the depths of my heart. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for coming out in your numbers today. Thank you for letting your voices be heard, and thank you for putting your ex next to the rising sun. When the campaign started and my nomination was announced, I told you all that we are creating an avalanche in Debe South, and today that avalanche has started to spread, and we are going to spread it from Debe South into the entire of Trinidad and Tobago. And rest assured that the United National Congress is going to get back in government under the leadership of the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Of course, I was looking at the results, and I must say, to those who didn't support me by voting, and of course for those who didn't vote for me, have no fear. As I told you all from day one, I am from Debe South. I am one of you, and have no fear. Everything that I do from here on is for all of us. I would like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to the political leader for giving me this opportunity to become the voice of Debe South. And it's been almost a year since Debe South has been starved of a voice at the local government level. And only because of her leadership and her insight in starting that reaction protocol and dragging the PNM government to the courthouse, that today, Debe South, once again, we have a voice. We have a voice at the Penal Debe Corporation. Madam Political Leader, Debe South. Of course, no campaign can happen by one man alone. And I want to say a special thank you to my campaign team. My brother Nicholas Kanhai. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. And to the entire campaign team, the social media team, the food team, every team that made up the Debe South campaign team, and the true soldiers of Debe South, the walk soldiers. Thank you so much. And I would like to take this moment to say a special thank you to the Singh family, the family of the late Purushottam Singh, who welcomed me as one of their own. Thank you. I see his mother is here. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank Chairman Sami and the members of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation, the councillors and all the men, for your support and your dedication. I look forward to one, learning from you, and two, working with you at the Penal Debe Corporation. I was learning something today, and someone told me all the best races and all the best election is because you have opponents. Because if you had no opponents, there wouldn't be any fights. So I'd like to thank my opponents. I would like to thank them. And I would like to say, as I said on the first day, Debe South hold my hand. And I would like to ask them, let's work together. Let's work to build Debe South. Because tonight, while the UNC is victorious, the real victory is for the people of Debe South. This has been my maiden election. First time I'm in this political seat, and of course, first time I'm doing this thank you speech. And I need to say a special thank you to my family. My family, I hold you dear to my heart. My immediate and my extended family, I love you. I love you all dear. Thank you for all that you've done for me in the past few weeks, and for all that you've done for me to get me to this point in my life. And of course, as the rain starts to drizzle, last but not least, I must thank the Almighty. Thank God for the path that you've brought me on, that I can stand here today to have the honor to serve my people of Debe South and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. My dear friends, I know the PNM didn't want to have this day and they tried to postpone it as much as possible. But you know when they say, as Naresh told me, when your licks book, it book. I don't know how he knows that, but when it's book, it's book. And I want to say today that the licks that they got today is not the first and it's not going to be the last. It's going to continue because we are going to take the UNC from today. We are going back into government. The local government elections is due in a short time, and this link is going to continue. Yes, tell them watch out, PNM. Debe South and the UNC is coming. You know, putting the politics aside, when I started the campaign, I said, Debe South, I'm one of you. I said, take my hand, because I can't do this alone, but together we can. And I want to reiterate that today. Debe South, this victory is ours. This victory is ours to grow and develop. So I say today again, take my hand, Debe South. Take my hand as we move our community from where it is to where we can be. So in closing, I just want to say again a heartfelt thank you. And with a grateful heart. And of course, by the words of my political leader, Debe South, I'm never going to give up on you. And as she said today, and my mantra will be from today on, serve the people, serve the people, serve the people. Long live our political leader, and long live the United National Congress.
Monday night, Debe South by-election is on the ballot and the UNC is online and on the case. The best political team led by political leader KPB and chaired by Senator Anil Roberts will analyze the count to the final vote. Monday night Debe South by-election from the constituency and live online from 7 p.m. We are the United National Congress. Monday night, Debe South by-election is on the ballot and the